Welcome once again to the Hour of the Time. I'm your host, William Cooper. Make sure you're sitting in your favorite chair and your mind is open and you're ready to listen. Because tonight you're going to learn about one of the most heinous crimes in history that's being largely ignored because no one wants to face it. In light of the evidence, and those of us who are willing to talk about it, if you're not willing to face it, you'd at least better be willing to listen about it. Years ago, 20 years, in fact, I was sitting at my desk at about 4:30 in the morning in the headquarters of the Commander-in-Chief of the United States Pacific Fleet on a hill overlooking Pearl Harbor called Makalapa. I was holding in my hands a set of documents describing a project called M.K. Naomi. M.K. Naomi was a biological warfare project. The purpose of the project was to develop a microbe, a biological agent of whatever kind, that would attack the autoimmune system in human beings and thus render production of a vaccine impossible. It was considered to be the ultimate biological weapon, and according to the documentation, authorities feared that a foreign nation would develop such a weapon first, and since we would have no experience with such a weapon, would be helpless in the face of it. The document outlined the pressing need to develop this biological weapon so that we could study means to overcome it, should it be used against us by a foreign country. The documents also stated that such a biological warfare weapon could be used on targeted populations for the purpose of genocide or for population control. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's subject is AIDS. The acronym AIDS was not mentioned in that document that I saw, nor were the initials A.I.D.S. mentioned. However, that document was my first indoctrination into the plague that we now know as AIDS. I have to lead you up to this so that you'll understand what has happened and why it has happened, and who is doing it and why they are doing it. Following World War II, ladies and gentlemen, something happened that was to have tremendous significance for the future of all mankind. Intellectuals took note of this happening and brought it to the attention of the world power elite, the men who really rule the world, and I say men because women are not included amongst this group. The elite were severely shaken by the predicted repercussions of this event, They were told that by or shortly after the year 2000, the total collapse of civilization as we know it, and the very possible extinction of the human race could occur. They were not told that it would occur, they were told that it could occur. It could occur, that is, if we did not destroy the earth with nuclear weapons before that time. They were told that the only things that could stop these predicted events would be severe cutbacks of the human population, the cessation or retardation of technological and economic growth, the elimination of meat in the human diet, strict control of future human reproduction, a total commitment to preserving the environment, the possible colonization of space, and, ladies and gentlemen, what some of you have been hearing about, a paradigm shift in the evolutionary consciousness of man. I'm telling you this tonight because you need to know it. And it doesn't matter if you believe in it or not. If the people who rule the world believe in it, I can assure you it's going to affect you. What you're hearing tonight is the purpose for the Earth Summit in Brazil. It is one of the reasons being touted for the New World Order, the one world totalitarian socialist government, for the eradication of our Bill of Rights in the Constitution, and the complete subjugation of all mankind to a state of control, complete control, during every 24-hour period of their lives. Recently in the Los Angeles Times, an article appeared, 10 forecasts for the coming future. I say recently, it was 1989 was when this article appeared. I have it in my files. 10 forecasts for the coming decade. One of these forecasts is electronic or chemical implants to control individuals on a 24-hour basis. Those in power immediately formed an alliance and set about bringing the recommended changes to fruition through propaganda, mind control, and other manipulations of the masses. The Illuminati's prayer had been answered. You see, because we don't have access to the data, we don't know if this is just another manipulation or if it's really a problem. What was this event that caused so much consternation and changed forever the future of the world? Well, millions of soldiers returned from war. These soldiers found lonely, eager women waiting for them. The greatest coupling in the history of the human race occurred. And the result was everyone born between 1941 and 1955 and the children that they would eventually produce. Ladies and gentlemen, it was me and you and everyone who lives today. It was called the Great Worldwide Baby Boom, and it didn't just occur in this country. It occurred around the world. It was the culmination of all man's efforts to survive throughout history. It was modern medicine, better diets, heat in winter, pure running water, and proper disposal of sewage. It was the point in history when the birth rate so exceeded the death rate that the world's population doubled between 1957 and 1990. It was the most wonderful time in the history of the world, but it was also the worst. It signaled the end of man's most precious achievement. An alliance of all of the powers on this earth, open and hidden, decided that individual freedoms could no longer be tolerated in the interest of the preservation of the human race. They believed the common man could not be trusted to do the right thing for the future of humanity. What had been the unfulfilled dream of many individual groups became reality by the concentration of power in the alliance known as the Bilderberg Group. What had been impossible before was now promised. The New World Order that so many had envisioned and had worked for throughout the centuries was now a certainty. The first study was made during World War II to determine the impact of the returning soldiers upon the economy. The results mobilized the ruling elite. A second secret study was conducted in 1957 by scientists meeting in Huntsville, Alabama. It confirmed the results of the first. The conclusion was that civilization as we know it would collapse shortly after the year 2000 unless the population was seriously curtailed. The study expressed a concern that since atomic weapons existed, they would ultimately be used. Well, I hope you're comfortable tonight, because tonight's a shocker.